Yellowstone Supervolcano latest. It's developing a new thermal area from what USGS has found and is reporting to us. Yellowstone is alive, it's breathing, it's heaving, it's moving, it's inflating, it's deflating, it's heating up because obviously there's magma underneath heating up the area. Sean Martin Express UK reports the volcano is slowly creating a new thermal area beneath the surface. As regions show, more evidence is still very active and it's alive. Scientists analyzing satellite imagery found this new area, unexpectedly of course, because it's in an area that's really very difficult to reach. The imagery shows a new thermal vent brewing underneath the surface. It's in the northwest section above the caldera. It's in an area towards the corner of Wyoming. And this new thermal vent is forming so deep in the forest that experts had to fly over it by helicopter to find it. First to have a visual of it, and then they sent a team in to actually map it, to go towards it, to step on it. Not step on it, but to observe it from far off, because you can't step on it. It's almost like quicksand, and it's very hot, of course. Now, these thermal vents form as extreme heat from the molten magma affects the underground waters. It creates steam which needs to escape, and this is where it comes to. The park's hydrothermal systems is the visible expression of the huge Yellowstone volcano, its strength. It has over 60% of the world's geysers and over 10,000 hydrothermal areas. Now, the park's hydrothermal system is the expression of the immense volcano, and it would not exist without the underlying molten magma body releasing all this tremendous heat. The system also needs water, such as groundwater from the mountains, from the surrounding Yellowstone Plateau. Also, let's remember it's a subduction zone, and the mantle that comes down brings water with it from the ocean, and that's also another source of water there. Dr. Mike Poland, the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory head geologist and who is in charge of Yellowstone, said that this is a new thermal area that's really still developing. When Dr. Poland and his company, his colleagues, analyzed the satellite imagery, they noticed the region of dead trees and lack of flora, which had once been green and now killed, and bleaching white because everything was dead, and coming up with the area was filling up with minerals, making it look white. As we see when we look at the geyser areas that we have. Many times I put up videos of the Yellowstone, the Old Faithful geyser and the areas there. That looks like the white material covering the ground sometimes looks like snow, but that is not snow. That's minerals that is ejected with the steam from the geysers. So that's the kind of whitish coloring that they saw as well. They noticed the region of the dead trees and the lack of flora, because they had been killed by the heat and the chemicals emitted. Now, he said you can see places where the trees have fallen, and the underside of the trees that was facing the ground was scorched by the heat. Actually, it had turned to charcoal. It was fried, actually. Now, after the discovery, the scientists traveled by helicopter to see the site. They walked around the area, and we're not to touch anything because of the fact that it's so dangerously hot. Now, this area was pristine. It was not touched by humans for centuries, and they were basically, they believe, the first ones to go there. Dr. Poland said it was pretty. I felt an excitement, but also kind of wonder that here we are at this new place that really has not been described, at least by people on the ground. You do have the sense of like, wow, this is new, and you wonder what some of the early explorers or Native Americans must have thought when they saw these places for the first time. Now, the US, fortunately, for the formation of the new vent is not evidence that the massive volcano is about to erupt. This is just naturally occurring new hot areas. Yellowstone Supervolcano is in Wyoming. It's also overlapping into a corner on the northwest with Montana and Idaho. Its last major eruption was 640,000 years ago, and according to the U.S. Geological Survey, the chances of Yellowstone erupting is about 1 in 730,000. With the 640,000 years having passed since the last major super eruption, Yellowstone is, of course, coming closer to the next super eruption, but it could be thousands of years away. Here we are at Seismic Berkeley, and we're looking at today's quakes. This is the west coast. As we can see, we've had a tremendous amount of quakes, one on top of the other here at the Cascadia position of just south of Eugene, Oregon. One on top of the other, continuously. The blue are today's quakes, the red are the past hour. Okay, this is in Ridgecrest, and this is the area around Yellowstone. We see no quakes today at all. That's very surprising. Maybe it's still early, maybe later on, who knows. Seattle is also rocking, Vancouver is rocking. If you see the video before this one on Cascadia and the northwest, next big quake around this area here, Juan de Fuca Gorda plates, because they're moving very fast, about 43 centimeters, a couple of centimeters a year, which is pretty fast. Anyway, this is during the week. We have no quakes, no new quakes today. Surprising again. That's okay. And this is the area of Yellowstone. I'm not using the USGS because that goes so slowly because they have to map all the quakes. Okay, so this is Yellowstone Lake. This is the corner of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. And the park actually goes over into Montana and Idaho. And this is Hebgen Lake, where they had the 1959 earthquake of 7.3, 7.5. Basically, this is the area of the hot spots, here and here. And the new hot spot somewhere around here. This is the caldera here, and the lake is over part of the caldera around 4 or 5 o'clock, if you look, clockwise. And this is where we usually have our quake swarms as well, right around this area, northwest. Very few quakes around the rest of the caldera and the lake, and most of the quakes around here. And they seem to go around this fault line, rivers and lakes. Okay, the fault line here, Madison Range, and up towards this area here towards Canada. And as we have said in the past, this has Yellowstone, from what they have found, has its magma source coming from this area here. There seems to be a plume here that has arms that go west, feeding the very high threat volcanoes of the west coast, and the other arm towards the east here, swinging through around to Yellowstone. And all those earthquakes, of course, are shallow and small. Shallow and small. And normal. Normal for Yellowstone. And The uptick in earthquakes we have seen was because of the ridge crest that had jolted the whole area. Ridge crest also jolted Long Valley caldera, which has been tremendously active because it's closer to ridge crest, of course, maybe that's why. That's a supervolcano. It's a very high threat volcano. Mammoth Lakes is, of course, Long Valley caldera. I'll leave links below for you for this. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.